Hey everybody, it's Mike from Faraday Research. We're doing a live simulcast tonight, and very shortly we'll be joined by Bernie at Crypto Alchemist, and you can check out his site there on YouTube as well. I have the link in the description of, I believe, the last video I posted, so if you want to check out his YouTube channel, you can do so. And yeah, it's been a very busy holiday, and yeah, so we're going to get things going here very shortly. Bernie's going to log in, and yeah, we'll start the show. And I got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, upcoming stuff that is happening with the channel, and also Bernie has some stuff he'll share with us as well, as far as all the simulcasting, how we're going to network into these new groups. That is going to bring a lot more traffic to our channels. And also like doing my experimentation stuff, and also Bernie's heavily involved in the cryptocurrencies, and there's many other guests that he's going to set up almost like a I hate to say it, like a CNN type thing, where you're going to have almost like there'll be designated shows. Each person's has their specialty, and then they're going to be all simulcasted on multiple streams. Also, autodidactic with Campbell. He's going to be all involved in it. He's out in Australia, and yeah, so our reach is going to get out there really far. So yeah, things are going to happen in the next year. Things are going to snowball. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting year, and our subscribers keep climbing. And you know, before Christmas, we made it over 1,000 subscribers, which was 2 thumbs up. So yeah, that was a big milestone for my YouTube channel. And yeah, so we're just going to keep this rolling. We started the build for the flywheel generator, and I'll be sharing stuff. I did a little video earlier today showing a quick mock-up of the actual flywheel generator. So I don't know if Bernie's ready to start his feed, and we'll get the show rolling here.
Sorry, Mike, I'm leaving you stranded for a couple more minutes.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, we'll get the stream going here real soon with Bernie. See a couple of people logging in. I have my live chat in the comments there. So yeah, the comments section in StreamYard is open. I got my Faraday channel running, and also Bernie is going to be logging in very shortly as well. And we're trying to do simulcasting here to get our reach like way out there, so more and more people will be able to view our station and just broaden our reach out on the internet. And yeah, I'm just Bernie's almost ready here, and hey, Tesla Energy, welcome to the show. Bernie's going to be joining us shortly, and yeah, so there's a lot of things we have to discuss tonight about the future projects, what I'm working on, and what's happened with the YouTube channel. I'm starting StreamYard, which Bernie at Crypto Alchemist have got me into as well, so we're doing simulcasting. And yeah, things are going to happen this year very, very fast. And a lot more traffic is going to be coming to the station. And on my YouTube channel, on Bernie's YouTube station, and also on Autodidactic with I got the live chat going. Yeah, sorry, I lost my words.
The live chat and Campbell, the great Australian.
I believe he's in Perth, Australia. So he's also going to get involved in this too. So apparently this thing's going to like explode into something like really, really big. Yeah, it should be very interesting. Still waiting for Bernie to log in. Yeah, so yeah, the main thing is we got over 1,000. So where I'm at with the website, with the YouTube channel now is I need 4,000 minutes per month of viewing time. And as soon as I meet that requirement, then I can actually monetize and actually make some money off of YouTube and the advertisements and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I want to keep the content going. I got, I believe, 92 or 93 videos posted. And yeah, so
Hey everybody,
this is my
welcome back
last
to Faraday
video.
Research. It's
putting it up
Tuesday
on
morning,
here,
and
my
I'm still
flywheel
late,
generator.
so I figured I'd make this little
So
video.
you can kind of see
I just happen to have
mock-up
this
that I did.
framework here that I had in my storage locker from another project, and I decided, so let's see if it'll fit. So here's my mock-up for my new
That's just
flywheel
like
generator.
Now,
Now,
I
these
actually took
these pieces here were actually for my prototype for my end machine, and perfect that they actually fit. And the best part about it is
that was actually
that
for my,
it has
prototype
bearings
for
in
my
it.
end machine.
So I got bearings in the top and bottom, and it's all set up there. And I'll be making the rest of the mock-up. I have to put a board across the top here. I'll have to fasten everything down. And then the motor is going to sit on top there.
Yeah, so
and
that's
it's
the
gonna
mock-up.
spin.
I'm going to be working
And
on that in
then
the
what
next
I'm going to
few
do
weeks.
after that is all the electronics are going to go on the side here, and that's going to be the flywheel generator.
As soon as you get a basic
So
mock-up,
I've
then
been going through my notebook. I
flywheel
do have a
generator is
logbook
actually
of
very
all the
simple
projects
machine
I've
to build.
done,
And
regardless if they
schematics,
worked or not or whatever. It's kind of
itself
like
is
my
quite
Bible
easy to put
book.
together as
So
well.
if I have to look up a
And
circuit
I'll
or
be sharing
whatever,
that
I have this
schematic as
book.
well.
And I log all the stuff I do. I write stuff down.
So we're
Whether it's
logging
right
in.
or wrong, I
Bernie's
write
starting his
everything
live
down.
feed
I
right
sign
now.
it and date it. And yeah, so that's my holy book, my Bible of over Unity devices and ideas and concepts, and everything goes in that book. But yeah, the flywheel generator is on the way, like I said. And since I've got this time off of work, I'm still waiting to claim for my benefits for being off. And I'm still waiting for my ROE, a record of employment. Until I get that, I can apply for the benefits. A lot of headaches, a lot of home stress, especially if you're out of work. Hopefully, it'll only be a week that I'll be out of work. So I'm praying everything's going to work out fine there. But anyways, I got this free time, so I'm working on projects to keep my mind off my problems. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. So yeah, if you haven't become a member, bottom right hand corner. If you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. And as I might even do a live stream later. Yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to maybe even do a live stream later on and show you my progress with the flywheel generator. And yeah, so also too in the description, I'm going to have my Patreon there. More than ever, I need you guys to help support me a little bit. That I'm out of work, and you get all the great benefits and help support my work. And if you like what I'm doing and stuff like that, please leave your comments and everything at the bottom. And yeah, there's some great stuff coming ahead. I'm going to have to order a special transistor for this project. It's called a TIP 124, I believe it is. So I have to order that transistor in. It's a special switching circuit. I'll get into the operation of how this thing actually works. There's next to no documentation whatsoever on the web about this. It was like finding a needle in a haystack on this special flywheel generator circuit. And it's a very simple circuit. It's actually not very complicated at all. And I'll be putting the schematic up for that later down the road. But I have to build it first, get it together, run it, and see if it actually does what they say it does. And they're claiming it's 300% over Unity. So basic concept of it, the wheel starts spinning there's going to be one magnet placed somewhere on this wheel,
wake up,
and there'll be a reed switch. So every time it hits the reed switch, that generator becomes a motor for a nanosecond and gives it a push or a torque, and that keeps the wheel spinning. So this wheel's going to be spinning around. I have to get it up. I figure with the weight that I have, it's about 5 pounds, which is more than enough, I think, for this. I think it should work. I did a preliminary test with the motor and spun it really fast and then shut the motor off, and she spun for quite a while. So that means I'm building up a lot of kinetic energy and inertia inside this wheel, and that's the basis of how you get over unity, is with kinetic energy and the inertia of the wheel. So so it spins around, hits that magnet. Every time it hits the magnet, it turns the generator into a motor and gives it a push. And when it gives it a push, it sustains that kinetic energy and it keeps it running. So it's doing that, several hundred times a minute. It keeps that wheel running, and as long as that wheel keeps running, so
yeah. So we're here live with Bernie at Crypto Alchemist, and he's got his going, and I now got my channel running here, so we're simulcasting together to do a broadcast tonight for everybody. And welcome to the show. I'm Mike from Faraday Research, and Bernie's with us tonight as well. I'll get him to kind of explain what's going to be happening in the next little while with all our simulcasting and everything. What's that?
I said, and here I am at last. Thank you
Man of the hour.
Mike. We are just scrambling last second there, as I always am when we are about to go live, and we always add on something new, if not a million new things each time we go. And tonight we are incorporating Mike's Faraday Research channel, where he's also streaming this from his account onto his channel. And we've essentially got two streams at once, going to multi-channels instead of the one stream going to multi-channels that we regularly do. And just integrating things in, where next time we will be in one giant StreamYard room where we can add Mike's channels, both your YouTube as well as your Facebook there, into the broader spectrum like I am right now, where I'm currently streaming to my own YouTube channel, my backup channel, Crypto Alchemist, my main channel still suspended, as well as my personal Facebook account and my clothing line Facebook account, and then no, that's what we're currently streaming to.
Oh, okay.
My personal Facebook, where it's like maxed out at like 5,000 people, and then my clothing line, or personal, or not personal, the company public figure / company artisan something or other account on Facebook. So I have two accounts on Facebook, basically, is what I'm trying to mumble out of that word sandwich, that both are being streamed to, as well as I have two Twitter accounts. Just the first one is my backup at Bernard Conkin, which was also my YouTube that was terminated falsely, and then my main Twitter channel at Berni Minds 3R1, because Twitter decided to cut it off, and instead of giving me third or third eye, it just went 3R1. So Berni Minds 3R1 is the main Twitter, and we are streaming on that, and Bernard Conkin, as well as Crypto Alchemist YouTube, and Campbell's main autodidactic channel as well. And so we're doing multiple YouTube channels from this, and next time Mike's will also be in there. So all of you lovely souls, the majority of you joining us from autodidactic channel, YouTube live stream, that all of you lovely souls that have been following Mike and Faraday Research's work all of these years will also be able to be incorporated into the larger live chat community, and we are integrating you all together because we are a family for free energy.
Exactly. Yep. It's going to be interesting how this is going to snowball this year. Linking all the channels together, simulcasting, all the advertisement that's going to go through, and your stuff with the crypto and also your alchemy projects. Yeah, it's just going to snowball. It's like
You're bang on with using that word. I've been saying it when I've been trying to describe what this multicast has been turning into, and just everything coming together. It is snowballing. It is an avalanche that is growing its inertia. It's accelerating inertia is what this movement is. And Mike, you are
creating a monster.
I think it's the exact opposite. The beautiful beast of nature that is pure in heart and has no ill intent, but to free the spirits of humanity and this earth in unison again, instead of destroying, tearing it up, polluting, killing, slashing it open, murdering, just to burn it and destroy it for our energy. Well, we can maybe take something from nature like our ancestors and civilizations of lost eras did, and actually use the technology and energy of nature, which is free and healthy and is endothermic or implosive, as opposed to explosive and exothermic in destruction. We
That's exactly it. Yeah, you hit it on the nail. Yeah, we've always been making our energy based on explosion, and all the energy that we're working with is implosive energy, which is a cleaner form of energy. And also, if you get it right, if you got the right stuff, you can make it infinite energy. Now, you can't get a free lunch, so the energy is already there. It's there to grab, but we have to learn how to grab it and utilize it. Right?
exactly. And like you said, there's not no free lunch. You have to do the work. It's like
Yeah,
the universe will provide the materials or the energy for free, but like anything that is success in life, you have to put the work in to build it yourself. Because if you want a job done right, you have to do it yourself because nobody else.
yeah. Because right now, the only free lunch we know of is solar, wind, and hydro. That's it, as far as a free lunch is concerned. So,
But you're going off your own main point, though. I think, my friend, is that it's not a free lunch. It's the universe is providing the
Yeah.
food. It's
Yeah.
up to us to learn, and that society has only accepted that the food being provided or that energy being provided is from solar and hydro, when in fact there's free energy every way, whether you want to look at it from wind, from solar, from hydro, from cold nuclear to normal, medium to the hot fusion, whatever it is, that's all free from nature.
Yeah.
You have to build it yourself.
Well, I think most people, they want to see something in front of their eyes. Okay, you can see hydro, you can see solar, you can't see wind, but you can see the effects and feel the effects of wind. But we're dealing with stuff that you cannot see. It's in a different medium, right? Until we transform it and manipulate it to create the effects of energy in our machines that we develop that harness this power.
Exactly. It's all of the energy combined, whether it's like a sound wave, a heat wave, radio frequency, or light, or physical force pushed on something. It's that all of those energies are free energy.
Yeah.
And that society and humanity has tricked itself into believing that none of these are exactly that, and that it's impossible to be able to turn one into another easily, or the way a harmonic nature does, through resonance, through harmony, and that you're just taking everything is essentially waves, and waves to particles, particles to wave, and that if you get the right wave, that resonant frequency, that harmonic frequency of the energy of your circuit, or of what the energy is that you need for something to run off of. If you can get that right harmonic energy, all you need is the smallest of that wave, instead of having to try to get every single wave to force into that energy. You just need that smallest of fractions, like the note of a piano sort of thing, or a microwave from your Wi-Fi emitter, even, that's essentially will be eventually be able to transfer all of that into useful electricity.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing I should touch base with tonight on dirty power. The fact that the way we're using energy today is very distorted, a lot of harmful effects on the human body. Cancer has risen tremendously since electricity has been deployed, well over 100 years ago.
And just keeps accelerating at a new rate constantly, where it's like, oh, 1 in 50 people for our grandparents sort of thing would suffer it. And that was like a shock back then. And now it's like to the day where 15-year-olds are dying of tumors because they're exposing to so much. Yeah, and younger newborns, even some for like babies, 2-year-olds. Anybody, there's just so much now that it's accelerating, that they're expecting half of us to die by the time we're 30 of cancer, as if it's normal. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and Eric Dollard, he did a study on that for, I believe it was well over a year. He did an extensive study on dirty power. And he was doing work for a very wealthy individual that was getting sick from this stuff. And he decided to do a research project with him. He funded him, basically gave him whatever money he needed for whatever tool or instrument he needed to do his research on what was making him sick. And basically, you can walk outside and you're getting blasted with 5,000 watts of cell phone tower signal right at the face, right? And this guy was very, very sensitive to this stuff, and it was making him physically ill. And I've heard of even kids in the schools in Canada were getting sick from all the Wi-Fi in the schools. So some of the schools started
5G Wi-Fi, right? What people don't really understand with 5G technology is that it's getting very close to the same microwave frequency or terahertz frequency that both the human thought works on, but also your actual microwave works on.
Yeah.
And it's 5G is essentially in between, right? So it's like you're going to go into technology that can essentially program or destroy all of us and make us hear anything that's going on in that frequency in your head, thinking, that it's the devil himself talking to you, or just give you an instant tumor because you have that Wi-Fi router in your office room, which is one room over from your bedroom, which the exponential or the right term right now, but
the frequency waveforms traveling through the
house.
house.
Your 5G emitter, especially And when saying that the cell phone is also the 5G emitter, so when you're wearing it on you, say if you have it in your pocket, in your pants, and you're a young strapping man, but you're keeping your phone, that 5G emitter next to your testicle sperm makers for and then you're wondering why you're not able to have kids by the time you're 20.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
pretty why. And you know, if you
I
run
think
that,
my generation, I'm a little bit older than you, and I knew what the world the way it was before cell phones, before computers. I was born in '73, so I was born way before all this stuff came out. It wasn't until I was about 8 or 9 years old that the computers came out, but the internet still wasn't out yet. And then around
it was
1990, yeah, it was a home phone on a cord, and it was not wireless. It was hardline wire, and it was just a different life back then. I don't know how old the audience is, but I was born in '73, and I was around way before all this stuff started happening. And then, yeah, 1995 rolled around, and then the cell phones, the internet was born, and then the Wi-Fi came out in the mid 2000s, and yeah, it was one stage after another, and you start seeing society and the social media thing started. So even that snowballed. It really, really changed the world as we know it, right? So I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to worry about now is this dirty power. And Dollar was talking about this. Guys are saying that you're echoing, Bernie. I don't know if it's because of me or not too sure. What?
I believe it was echoing on your podcast on your channel, and what I was figuring before when we were discussing before we went live, I just muted it now, so we'll see. Please let us know in the chat on Faraday Research if I sound better now or if you can't hear me at all, but I think this might have fixed it.
I hope so. We're still trying to figure it out, but we'll get it eventually.
It's a learning process, exactly.
Exactly. It gets a little complicated, right? I'm a little bit old school, so Bernie's kind of got the edge on me on the tech here. So even my 9-year-old, she knows her way around a computer like you wouldn't believe.
It's like they're born into it now, right? It's crazy. And so I'm 36, so it's like in high school, all there was pagers. We didn't quite have the cell phone.
Yeah, the pagers was the first thing. I remember my first cell phone, oh my God, was the old Motorola flip phone. And the battery was like...
It didn't have a text, did it?
Nope.
It was like there's like the 9 buttons.
It was all analog. It was completely analog.
12 buttons, yeah, completely like... Doop, doop,
Yep, this was before PCS even came out. It was analog, and it was a totally different sound completely. And then when PCS came out, and that's when eventually they started, I think at the Motorola V-Dot was called. And that was the first phone I had where you actually could do text messaging. So
that was so revolutionary, wasn't it?
Man, that really changed the world. I had a friend who was doing it. I was watching her and going, "What is that? What are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, I'm texting." I go, "What the hell's that?" And then she showed me, and I go, "Wow, that's cool." And I go, "That's going to change things. Why call and talk to somebody when you could just text them, and you could be doing stuff with your family or whatever, and you could text away and not get interrupted by anything." So yeah, I seen the text messaging thing really gonna revolutionize the cell phone era, and I was right. And even when I met my wife, and we were texting like crazy, like we were doing I think well over 4,000 text messages a month. It was like really hilarious how many texts we were doing back and forth. And so yeah, you know what? It keeps going back into this problem with a lot of dirty frequencies, and Dollar was talking about. I heard one interview in the last, I think it was last weekend, he was talking about the way the power grid has been modulated has been completely wrong. You cannot modulate a frequency properly with electronics. It only could be modulated properly with an analog system. So, say for like the power grid, okay? The power grid's all controlled and modulated by electronic control system that, feeds the power. Now, he was saying if I was going to build a power system to run the grid, it would be completely analog. And back in, I believe it was the early 1920s, Steinmetz, the mathematician, he designed a special motor generator that was a three-phase system that is completely modulated properly in an analog form. And because of this, a better control of frequency, you could pump, say, 40,000 volts through a power line, and you could put an AM radio right beside it, and you won't have any static. And you cannot do that with the present day system that we have now. So I have that experience all the time. I come home from work, I drive through the section of the city where I live, and there's power lines. And the second I go through there with an AM radio, all I hear is white noise, because the magnetic field interference created by these high voltage power lines it's dirty power. It's emitting such a huge amount of electromagnetic interference that it will scramble any radio. When you get into the FM band, not so badly, but you can really notice it in the AM band. But this energy is not good for you, especially if you live near a power line like that. It's definitely not good for your body. So Dollard says if we're to do everything properly with the power grid, we have to go back to an analog system. And that is the only way you control the three-phase power system that's currently being used on our grid. He says the way it's being done now, it's harmonically, it's bad. And that's why some of these substations, they have transformers that for some reason they just go kabooey and they blow up into a million pieces and throw an arc about 30 feet long. It's because in a transformer, if the power is not modulated properly, you'll get a harmonic that develops inside the transformer, and that's when you will get a runaway. So yeah, it's a very complex problem for the average person to figure out, but he's an engineer, and he really knows his stuff when it comes to power distribution and stuff like that. But he used to see all this problems back years ago where there'd be runaways inside the transformer and they just blow up. And people die from it. Workers that worked in the hydro, and they're around these transformers all the time doing maintenance, and then all of a sudden they get a runaway, and then next thing you know, they're vaporized. They turn into ash because so much electricity. Yeah, it's
actually explaining the aspect of what happens, because I've kind of pondered that but never really understood.
Yeah.
And it's essentially something similar of like with when Tesla almost took down that building of resonating it, but this is with electrical resonance as opposed to harmonic sound resonance.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
But because they all interact together, right? So if you do get a harmonic happening inside a transformer like that, there is sound created. I don't know if you've ever heard a transformer work before, but you hear a buzzing noise going. Right, exactly. And then if you get and if you get a harmonic going in there, and that harmonic starts expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding, eventually you get a runaway, and then next thing you know, your transformer's in about 300 pieces and 20 people have just died. So yeah, it's a very serious problem, and it's because Dollard's saying the power, the way it's modulated through our power grid, is completely wrong.
He understands how it's wrong, or every aspect of how it's wrong.
Yeah.
I've been figuring out, I knew from the get-go that it was completely arse backwards and like 99.99% wrong and inefficient in how it was done. But that man is something else. And were you able to see Aaron's recent, or today's post with Dollard, where they did an hour and a half rebuttal and explanation of the Veritasium recent video on how electricity moves, and where Veritasium was trying to claim it's a different way, which
I listened to about half of it. Yeah,
but he was wrong in other ways, and then so you listened to half of that one today.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch all of it, but I was.
I only made it halfway through too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
no, but it's definitely fascinating. If anybody really wants to understand and learn about electricity the way it really truly was, start buckling down with Eric Dollard's stuff. Like, I've never met him. I probably never will meet him, but I will.
I have to give a little disclaimer of you can't be an amateur or novice if you're getting into it. Like, he's not a starting point. He's like a middle ground for once you've learned the basics of it. So it's like you want to start out with something more broader, like the Nassim Haramein or the Keshi Foundation, or Mike from Faraday Research is pretty damn good.
Thanks.
Also, APEC, Alternative Propulsion Engineering Conference, stuff like that, and literally thousands others that I'm
but you have to start off small. You start with the basic stuff, learn the terminology, because that's usually where everybody gets lost with the terminology, right? So
and that there's only half the terminology that's like unified, and then the other 50%, every single scientist or scientific-minded person comes up with their complete own vocabulary for describing the other half. So people will be like, "It's a scalar wave." Oh, there's no such thing as a scalar wave.
You just have to do. You have to start small, right? Like, I've been at this for quite a few years now, and learning electricity was completely out of my comfort zone. Like, my background's more of an engineering and machining background, so I was kind of out of my comfort zone. But this stuff really intrigued me, and I tried a few experiments, and they worked, and it was like, "Ooh, that's cool. Let's try something else." And that's just it. Just constantly got my interest, because
exactly, like, you have to dip your toes in, get your feet wet a little bit, not just jump into the pool that's full of electricity and shock yourself to death because you don't know what you're doing, and you're using tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of volts, and then you get too much amps mixed in, and the first thing you did was shock yourself.
Like I get a lot of questions like, where do I start? What's the thing I should start with? And I try to give them the best route to go, and that is start with a Joule thief circuit. Okay. The Joule thief circuit is one of the easiest circuits to make. All right.
Sorry, I also just have to add, it's also known as a bell ringer or a bell thief circuit too.
Joule thief, bell. They call it Joule ringer.
Joule ringer.
Yeah. So
and I've heard it called a bell ring circuit too, but there's many names, but it's the exact same thing, and it's a very simple circuit to produce. And if I'm correct, I got a question for you,
sure,
Mike. It's that in this specific circuit, it's that you're essentially creating two circuits within themselves, and the inner circuit has all of like the load and the resistance essentially, and you're like pulsing into it, and then the other one is where it's like essentially coming from, and you're adding and whatnot.
Like it's the simplest form of what we've been working with, like in the more advanced stuff, but it shows exactly what we've been working on for so long is the collapsing or the back EMF vacuum field of electricity. When you charge an inductor and all of a sudden you cut the power in the inductor, you've created this field of energy around it. And if it's vibrating, what it'll do is if there's any other energy in the proximity of that coil, it's going to attract it and actually excite everything around it. So Tesla calls that radiant energy. So when you charge that coil up and it's charged, it's created this magnetic field. All the electrons and all the charged particles that are around it are now getting attracted to this coil. So when suddenly that transistor shuts off and that field that you've created now collapses in on itself, that's where the over unity comes. And if you can understand the workings of a Joule Thief circuit, that's a very, very good starting point for anybody who's getting into this. You have to understand what's happening with the coil. And when you understand,
would it be correct to say that that basic understanding or learning of this Joule Thief circuit is like altering the perception of that half of the free quote unquote energy you're getting is in fact just reducing the waste of the current circuit and system itself, and then from there you can work on more advanced ways of increasing energy into your more efficient, less wasteful.
I hate to say like we're creating energy. We're not. The power's already there. It's all around us. It's in us. It's all around us. The coil is just creating the platform that tickles that energy that's around us and attracts it into it. And as soon as it grabs that energy that's around us and gets it in that field, now we've got it. Okay, we're not creating anything. Okay, I want people to understand that. We're not
just wasting less or
we're attracting what's already there.
Right? Like you're either increasing, adding each like little thing that you do, like for instance, when you're combining your solid state battery, the flywheel, and then with a pulse motor, and then with like the Don Smith with the spark gap. So you're taking two different systems, one of which is very efficiently using energy in electromagnetic field in a motor thing. Yeah. So it's like that's a right there. People like perceived it as free energy, but really it was just preventing the destruction of that AC motor twice, destroying and rebuilding the the magnetic field twice rotation in that motor, right? So that compared to a DC pulse motor, where it's like 99.6% more efficient, therefore it's like we're not creating any energy, it's just not wasting and using exponentially more energy. And then there are other ones like the pulse, like the Don Smith plasma spark gap, where that one you are taking resonant energy from the environment, and then you're transferring that into your already created Joule Thief circuit that's already way more efficient. It's not putting all the electricity in that circuit up with all the resistance where it loses energy to heat, stuff like that. You're reducing extra load, extra resistance. So that's the first step. Then the second step is how you like store or put the energy through that circuit on your efficient load circuit sort of thing. And then the third step is adding in your resonant energy in the right frequency or the right electrical waveform that your now efficient load circuit.
Well, that's like to start. You said a lot of stuff there. You know, I have no, it's okay. But see, I think where a lot of people get a bad impression is by saying free energy. Okay, free energy is a term that I really don't like using. If
most people ask me what I really make, I'll say I make energy harvesting machinery. Okay. I'm not making energy, I'm harvesting what energy is already there. Okay. You cannot create energy or destroy it. Okay. It's there. And it's there for us to take. We have to design machinery that can harvest this energy. Okay. Now, a lot of the energy devices that I work with, you have to take a little bit of energy you already have and use it to harvest more energy back in. All right.
But
So
just like you have to use oil or gas to power your vehicle to go drill for more oil and refine it, sort of thing. Like it takes that some energy to then do the process to harvest more energy, right?
well,
And
see,
it's like
yeah,
I see free energy as solar energy, as wind energy, as hydro energy, or like energy that you're able to build something and harvest it for free. Like
that's right, and that's exactly right. Yeah.
0 point energy that people will construe.
See,
when you say free energy, they'll think it has to be 0 point where you're automatically now taking energy out of the vacuum and the ether and these higher dimensions and going way more complex. And it's like, there is that technology too, but you got to start with the basics and understand where energy is, what it is, how many insanely different amounts there are for it.
Yeah.
And from there, then starting to apply and transform and use each type into
because
the others.
Like if somebody were to ask me right now, what do you consider free energy to be? And my answer would be very, very simple. Energy you do not have to pay for. That's it. Okay? As far as free energy as meaning that you're harnessing energy for free, no, that's where everybody goes wrong. Okay, all the free energy means is energy we do not have to pay for. That's it, nothing else. What we make is energy harvesting machinery. Okay, so that's where I stand on this free energy thing. Okay,
well as energy saving, like the battery or the capacitor sort of thing, like and energy efficient, or like
that's all part of harvesting. That's all part of harvesting, right? So it's a matter of how good our tech is will make it harvest as a very high efficiency of energy, and it's going to have the least amount of resistance in the system. And eventually, someday, we'll get into superconductivity. And when we achieve that, then really you could say we've done it. But we're not there yet.
As well as was pointed out in the chat, and I will fully agree, and I've always said this, I have it written down, which I'll bring up in another episode, but free energy is also when you're able to use water as gasoline or your combustion of HHO, and then you're just turning your salt water into your fuel and then burning it into water.
See, if it was Eric Dollard answering it, he would call that energy synthesis. You're changing one form of energy, and you're synthesizing it into another effect, like water going into HHO or hydrogen.
And then back again. It's
that's
like
right.
A double synthesis.
That
whole circuit of there and back, right?
Yeah, that's energy synthesis, right? The same thing with electricity. Okay, we make an apparatus that we exploit electromagnetic fields through a coil, and the energy comes and it gets drawn into it like a pump. So basically, you can look at it electromagnet as a pumping system. So second you cut that power off, any field that is created and any energy in the atmosphere that's been attracted by it is now going to get drawn into it. It's like a heart, basically. If you want to look at it like a heart, it's a pump. So we pump energy, and we come up with novel ways on doing this when you hit the right frequency and you have the right resistance and the you have so many different factors involved, you can make that pump extremely powerful. And that's how you harvest energy. So, yeah, it's a lot to know. I've learned a lot of stuff over the years. I've educated myself, and either online and reading books, watching movies.
Autodidactic over the years.
Yep, you have to be, right? But you have to have a passion for this stuff too, right? Because if you don't have a passion for it, you can't really excel. It's like anything, like being the best writer or being the best swimmer or whatever. It's like anything. Like, you want to get good at it, you have to do your homework, you have to do your training, you have to experiment. Like, if you're doing what I'm doing, you have to do a lot of experimentation. There's going to be a lot of failures, but the thing is, you're always going to learn something from a failure. You always will. And if you don't see it now, you might figure it out later. You'll go, that's why it was doing that. And that's why I have a notebook. I call it my little Bible. And I put all my ideas, my experiments, I put my diagrams there, my schematics, and I got this book. And any new idea I have, I put it in this book. Whether it is right or wrong, I still put it in there. I write my name on it, put the date on it. And yeah, you have to build up a bit of a library of your own notes. And then you can cross-reference back and forth. Oh, this is where I made the mistake in the circuit, and then I could redo it and correct stuff. So eventually, 20, 25 years from now, I'll have a really cool book with a lot of interesting stuff in it that people can learn. But, big ideas. Yep. You know it. I can't really read that from here. My eyes aren't. I'm a little bit older, so my eyes aren't all that great. Maybe you can read it for me.
Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss it, you will land among the stars.
There you go.
And of course, it is all of my scientific notes and experiments and ideas that I have been writing for, exactly like you just described.
Yep.
Right? You got to figure stuff out on your own, draw your own little diagrams.
Yep.
And you got to find what appeals to you, and that's where you start with. That's the field you go with.
Yeah.
And that's what you'll accelerate at, like you said.
See, like, what will happen with a lot of guys that are really deep into this stuff that I found, you'll start in one direction, and then all of a sudden it's going to lead you in another direction. And then a couple weeks later, then it's going to lead you into a different direction. And then you're going to go, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, what direction am I going in? But those different directions are actually pieces of the puzzle to actually solve problems with the initial project you're working on, because it does branch off into certain areas, that might not exactly be on, the course that you're really going on. But you have to investigate these different avenues, because they're going to give you clues on what you need to take your project forward. So yeah, like, it's a long process, like some of these guys have been doing it for over 40 years, right?
It's a lifelong passion, right?
Yeah.
You learn every day and you teach every day, and it's never a failure if you learn the mistake, or it's never a mistake or a failure, I guess. Wow, I'm forgetting my actual words to come up with it. But as long as you learn how to do it right for the next go, or you learn from it, it is never actually a failure or a mistake.
No, it's something you're going to learn. Yeah. Yeah, because it's always a clue. There's always clues that are going to pop up later down the road that are going to match up that piece of the puzzle. That's good.
You didn't fail, or it wasn't a loss if you tested it and it didn't work the first time, but you learned what you needed to adjust to get it done right the next time. Right?
Well,
it's progress, it's experimenting.
Well, yeah, your project is teaching you something. Everybody looks at it as a failure when actually it's not. It's teaching you. If you had a failure or whatever, it's actually teaching you a lesson, and you have to look at it as being teaching as like a lesson, and you have to be very observant on what's going on. I've had many projects where things didn't exactly. I didn't get the result I wanted, and it's right there in front of me why. I have to study why it was doing what it was doing. Sometimes you don't come up with the solution right away. That solution could come a year later, you know? So, failures are not failures. It's a lesson. You're being taught a lesson. And that's why, like, my pulse motors, I was able to really go far with my pulse motor. Like, I have one configuration right now where I could take my pulse motor, I'll take a dead battery, say it's like 10 volts or whatever. I can hook it up to this pulse motor in this special configuration, start the pulse motor up. Okay, it's 10 volts. So clinically, in battery standards, it's considered dead. Okay, at 10 volts, it's dead. I can take that dead battery, hook it up to my pulse motor, and regenerate that battery within about 3 hours using the dead battery. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, it's actually a joule thief circuit, but just in a mechanical rotating apparatus like a pulse motor. I basically took a joule thief and made it into a pulse motor. So all the back EMF that the coil was creating, instead of going out to a light bulb, I was sending it right back to the battery. So I start with a dead battery, and after I run it with the motor for a few hours, that battery is brand new again.
Everything you've just said is in my head, but didn't know the specific mathematics or structure of said device and circuitry. But that whole process you just explained, I've been envisioning for at least a solid decade now, and I love everything that you just said because you are so bang on with it all.
See, with a dead battery, usually what happens inside, say, a electrolytic battery, or a lead acid battery, most common, in your car, is the metal plates inside, they get calcified, and they get this gritty stuff all over the plates, and that could cause short circuiting of the plates inside, and it's crystallization. It's deterioration of the plates. So when you install my pulse motor to it, what it does is it's sending a very high voltage spike of power into it. What it's doing is actually creating a vibration on the plates. And when this vibration happens on the plates inside the battery, anything that's stuck to it now starts falling off. So it's actually cleaning the plates. So as soon as the plates get cleaned again, then you add a little bit of electrolyte to the battery, and boom, your battery is brand new. And that's
actually fascinating.
Yeah, it regenerates the battery. Yeah. So you're trying to create this, I guess you could say almost like a harmonic, but it's actually, you're almost getting the electrolyte in the battery, almost in a boil. You're actually trying to boil it, and you can do that with high voltage spikes. It'll actually start boiling that electrolyte in the battery, and that movement of the electrolyte and the bubbling, that's what cleans the plates off. It loosens everything up and cleans it out,
and it realigns the structure. That makes perfect sense, because
it's like an alchemy.
When you put it into water, you shock it right back down from the molten, it realigns the entire structure at an atomic level of the crystallization of the metal. So
alchemy, my bro. Alchemy. It's alchemy right there.
It is 100% alchemy. But it's what is alchemy? Electrochemistry. That's what it comes down to. It's electrolysis chemistry. It's electrical chemistry. That's it. That's all. Hidden in plain sight.
Yep. That's exactly what this device does. It creates basically an alchemy inside your battery and regenerates your battery. Yeah, that's the easiest way I could say it, because that's exactly what happens inside. So as long as you can get those plates clean again, you've regenerated the battery, because usually that's what the breakdown is in the battery is those plates get dirty, and then what happens, they touch each other. They oxidize. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Breaking down that structure.
Yep. So yeah, so many different ways you can go. Like I would start personally, if you're getting into it, start with the Jewel Thief, like we said before, and then eventually try to step up and try a pulse motor, and that's when you start to get your feet wet. Is with the pulse motor, and you'll start seeing some interesting things happen. You got to learn about the high voltage back EMF that's generated in the coils. You'll get familiar how to make a coil, how to get core material and put your. Oh my God! Look who it is.
Hey Mike, how you going?
Good afternoon.
I would come and join.
Good afternoon.
Sorry to interrupt.
We're not.
What are we talking
I
about?
wish it would have been me mumbling on and rambling on instead of Mike actually explaining something scientific. But it's all good.
Oh, good. Nice. What are we talking about, Mike? What have you invented now?
Well, I'm working on the flywheel generator. Started working on that.
Nice.
Yeah. I actually posted a video today on my channel, kind of showing a little mock-up of what I'm working on. I'll be working on that in the next coming weeks, and we were just discussing about dirty electricity and the effects on the body, and what we have to do to fix that. And yeah, we just kind of been going on that, and also people getting into this kind of thing, where to start. So I talked about that. So
Pretty good to talk off.
Do you reckon that stuff works? I mean, I guess it's organized, is it?
Oh yeah, and then that's three solid of the Trinity. That could actually take away some harmful radiation.
Yep.
But really, you'll know if it's working or not if your signal's dropping and if you're hearing people properly or not.
Yeah, you have to Faraday cage your entire house.
Yeah, well,
or device. But
I'm going to be moving into a bus, so that should work as a Faraday cage, right?
Yep, and then put a nice ground, like get a nice copper, water pipe, and then hammer that about 3 or 4 feet into the ground and hook that right up to the bus, and there you go.
Yeah, right. Nice. And that's why I also need a working version of your pulse motor.
Yeah.
So I've got a house air conditioner, and it sucks a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we were talking about the one pulse motor configuration I was working on, where you take a dead battery and you hook it up to this pulse motor, all right? And then the pulse motor regenerates the dead battery that's running it.
And not like a trickle feed through.
Oh, cool! I like that. That's nice. Ooh.
Yeah, it's got like 5 pyramids inside it.
Right on.
Cool, hey? Of course, I didn't make any of these. These all been sent to me by amazing people.
Yeah, I'm working on
just looking through the emails of the guys that we're supposed to bring on there for that. So we will do a lot. When I email them back, we're going to be bringing on live how to do your own organized pyramids, but it'll be on one of the 48-hour streams.
Yeah.
Okay. Who have you got for that?
You actually forwarded me the emails a couple months ago.
Oh, I did? Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. So it's probably Cameron. Yeah, cool. He's good.
I believe so.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Yeah, about radiation too. I was talking to Kelly, Kelly Jones, and she was in Melbourne, and she ended up had a fluke type thing for 2 weeks, and she couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
And she went camping, and she said as soon as she got out of the city limits,
Yep.
it all disappeared instantly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the dirty energy.
Yeah.
So,
What's Hippie saying? Check out the channel I've just linked. Information on frequencies. Tech in. I've just been looking into armor, Hippie Jake. Awesome. Where's the link? Can't see it. Where? You'll have to post it again.
And to answer
Yeah.
and Campbell, I would like your opinion on this. She was asking if we think that they cracked and destroyed all the bells because they were some sort of like toxic weapon, but I think it was probably the opposite, where it was a healing resonance device, where it was either powering or healing or a bit of both or something like that.
Probably like a start mechanism for the resonance.
guys, I'm just going to step out for a quick smoke. I'll be right back. I'm kind of dying here.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
No worries. So the bells would have started off the resonance, and the organs as well. And so I reckon, they were everywhere. All the old photos, you can see them in the belfries and that. And then the other big thing is they destroyed them all in the wars. Like World War II, they went and there's photos of like just massive fields full of these bells that they've just collected and smashed. So, and the other thing is they can't make them anymore. They were made from a certain type of brass. And apparently, again, like everything, right, they lost the recipe.
And some are pure copper, but they just can't make the copper that pure or in that crystalline, in that nano structure, that plasmatic structured layer.
And to get some of the bends and some of the stuff in there, it needs to be a certain type of copper and a certain thickness. And like Da Vinci as well. Da Vinci's paintings are like micrometers thick. Like it's not they're not hand painted.
No, those were printed. Yeah, by high technology for sure.
For sure. Is that it? Autodidactic 2 channel. Hang on. Relics of the past. Hang on. I'm going to have to go.
I really liked your video on the Chinese pyramids you did the other day there.
Yeah, I know, right? There's quite a few of them.
Yeah, it just seems more of a bird for those types of
Sorry?
right?
How's the sound for that?
You know, it has its inefficiencies.
Not too bad. It's a bit sort of background, but...
Did that stop the sound altogether?
Now. Yeah.
Not still here. Oh, now it's gone.
Yeah. Also into that.
And Curtis says, leave the bells alone, and I agree.
Where my pulse motor, I've had it as low as 120 milliamps, or 120 milliamps of power. That's like nothing. And I can get high voltage EMF on around 160 to 170 volts, right? So that's like when you get the back to that coming off the coil, you're going to get the spikes. When you get it right at great frequency and right resistance, you can get 160 volt spikes out of it. That's what you have. You can actually and utilize this, for whatever you do, right? But as far as efficiency, so as far as stakeholders is concerned, everybody goes to there's a smart switch. It's very utilizing your property. It basically mitigates the Blake's law. Okay, so what I believe is if you have that whole circuit, in resonance with itself or very close to resonance, and then the spark gaps that you're adding in, Mike, are turning that circuit into an open, higher circuit
300
dimension.
watts of power at their disposal.
Taking the energy out of the environment, whether it's using radio waves, sound waves, or heat waves, it's taking some sort of that energy and then adding that into the amplitude of that resonance sequence. Right. So basically a voltage doubler. If you put spark gaps together, you're going to get even more power. So the more power you can add to the system from an exterior source like counter space, as you know, the spark gap is creating, that is basically what's going to save your guide bulb. You know, it was like, 100 years ago was unheard of. This would be like, Star Trek stuff, right? And Tesla seen all this 100 years ago. You know what? Okay, he can have transistors and stuff, but he was using a spark gap. But he started realizing there was something really to this. And he was getting an excessive amount of power. Coming back through a spark gap. And that's why his earliest were spark gaps, because they were bringing in such a huge amount of potential into the system that, at first he did not know where is this power coming from. Was it coming from the antenna? Was it coming from the coil? Or was it coming from the spark gap? And he finally realized, it's really coming from the spark gap. Not all of it, but a great portion of it. The excessive amount of voltage that he was creating was coming through a spark gap. So he started figuring, there must be, this power is coming from counter space. Because, the Tesla coil, if you put a Tesla coil at another Tesla coil directly, and put a neon bulb through it, you've got to have the frequency. There'll be a black void that will show up in the neon tube, where the two frequencies of longitudinal wave are hitting each other and creating this void, and that's counter space when you have two light sources hitting each other.
God.
Sorry.
Have you been fighting fires quickly, Bernie?
The what?
Have you run out and quickly been fighting fires? You look like you're a firefighter suddenly.
Green and black?
Oh, is that green? I just look at the yellow. I was going to say bumblebee.
Yeah.
But now
Bumblebee.
Are you the kid from that Blind Melon video clip?
I remember I liked that depressing Blind Melon music for a little bit in junior high school.
I only heard one of their songs. Wasn't it? No rain. Yeah, okay, no. Yeah, it sounded happy. Maybe I should read the lyrics. Everyone's talking about bells. There were some interesting things, and I forgot what they said. Global Vision. Now, Jim, is Global Vision back? Is he? I've lost his channel. Is he still called Global Vision, and is he making videos again? Because he was very cool. I'd like to see. Do you see that, Mike? He bought a metal ball in Bangladesh and had it tested at Moscow University.
That video is a couple years old, at least, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I have not
Oh,
seen
yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think I've seen
Put
that.
off the same channel, but he hasn't done anything.
He hasn't done anything for like a year at least, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that haven't posted in a long time. They were onto some really cool stuff, like Gerald Morin. He's another one. He had a lot of good stuff, and then he just kind of dropped off the radar.
Yeah, that rings a bell, that name.
He got funding, and it's because we've shared it at him a couple times before on here, Campbell. He's in Montreal there, and then he started working with the Chinese. I think he got some Asian investors or something like that.
Yeah.
And then was just so fed up with all of the trolls over here that he just disappeared. He either went out east or he decided he wasn't doing social media until his project was fully finished.
Yeah, I think he just felt it was too many distractions, right? So, yeah.
It would lead to some epic rants, though. Let me tell you.
Epic rants are good. What else was I just about to say?
But from my experience, it's been pretty good. You know, it seems like, I did have a couple of trolls that were on my channel, and they seem to have disappeared now. So most of the stuff I'm getting now is a lot of positive feedback, right? And that's what I feed off. I feed off good, positive feedback that keeps me going, right? It's positive energies.
That's
And
it.
as long as you got the positive energies, you keep going. It just drives you,
Keep building
right?
on
Yeah,
it. Indeed.
yeah.
And anyone who hasn't subscribed to Faraday Research, jump across and subscribe and like and share it around.
Yeah.
Zach,
This is
sharing.
cutting edge.
Well, I'm pretty well global now. Thanks to you guys, I'm pretty well global. I've got, I've got people all over the planet tuning into my YouTube channel now, which is really cool. Majority of it's still in North America, but I am reaching out to Russia and China and Netherlands is another good spot. Australia, where else? Czech Republic, Serbia, all over. Really, even South America, Brazil, all over the place. So yeah, yeah.
I've got people from Nepal. I was speaking to someone from Nepal the other day.
Indonesia, Indonesia.
And that is why YouTube truly is amazing. And despite the fact that they terminated
YouTube is asshole.
Still love you, YouTube. You.
YouTube and I are in a dysfunctional relationship, I think.
Yeah.
I just got on. There's a new one called Getter, GETTR. So I just started an account on that because Facebook is asshole too, and they're starting all their stuff and they've been coming out and telling you we're fully tracking you now. Is that okay? And if it's either that or we shut down your account. So there's lots of things that aren't so trackable and not run by.
There's another one called Brand New Tube. Brand New Tube.
Yep.
That's another one.
Yep, I've actually got a few up on that, but I haven't posted on it for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
But I've got Odyssey. There's Gab, but you have to pay a subscription to post videos on Gab, but
yeah,
it does look pretty secure in that. But I mean, I'm on Odyssey.
Brighton is another one. Brighton.com.
Brighteon or whatever. That's Mike Adams, isn't? Is that Mike Adams?
I think so. Yeah.
The health ranger.
Yeah.
Health ranger.
Apparently, they're going on a new platform soon, or adding more platforms to Brighton. So.
Well, I keep wondering, is this? Do you reckon they're going to rebuild the internet? There's so much talk that they're just going to rebuild.
That's what 2022 is, Campbell. That's what Web 3 is. The thing that's supposed to happen this year is that people are going to start getting paid for watching videos instead of them actually paying to watch them.
Yeah.
It's the inverse is happening, and that it's the new crypto-based streaming platforms are DAO operated, so it's a computer program, so it can't censor anybody because nobody's in control, and it's completely encrypted, so nobody can get in to try to hack anybody. So it's like completely uncensored. Whoever wants to be trend or is popular will actually trend with zero interference. Well, like the honest truth will come out, and you'll get paid for what you watch, and then whoever's watching or getting watched for the most value will also get paid. It's Web 3. It's the most revolutionary thing.
Does that mean that YouTube is going to shut down, or are we going to just get an upgrade, or what are we going to get new websites? Is it going to be a whole new web?
With it, they're also trying to shut it down and trying to get in control of it, and that's why it hasn't come out sooner. That's why you see like a crypto called Theta, which is like the most revolutionary streaming data one of all, and it was like the first one to try to attack Google or YouTube system, and that's why they suppressed it so much, and why it's one of like literally 3 of the top 100 cryptos that finished 2021 in the negative. And it's because the institutions are fighting for their lives, but it is supposed to change.
So basically, when that comes out, that's going to be the death of like YouTube and Facebook as we know them at the moment. Like, because people will just go, well, change or I'm out of here. Everyone just leave en masse, won't they?
Yeah, there's going to be so many more avenues and options to go to, right?
Well, the thing is, I mean, because of what's happening in the last 2 years, a lot of people rely on YouTube for revenue, to survive. And so it's like, I don't like them, but I want to get rid of them. So if there's another place you can earn revenue, that's what I've been saying for months. As soon as Odyssey or BitChute get advertising or some kind of revenue, then YouTube's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like having one cell phone carrier, right? As soon as you get other competition in there that offers the same or better, then the playing field becomes more level, right? You got to get some more competition.
That happened back sort of 20 years ago when it all got deregulated, and suddenly phones were cheap as, because before that, like, they were really expensive. And phone plans were really expensive, and
they still are in Canada, I think.
They still are. Everything's expensive. You're run by bloody Castro's son, right? What do you expect?
Yeah, Castro's. Yeah, pretty close to it, I guess you could say.
That dude, he's oh God.
Trudeau.
He's so dumb, and that dude, he's just ridiculously stupid.
Yeah.
Can't even string sentences together.
Unreal.
Benny, you're in Canada too. No, you're not Alberta. Whereabouts are you? You're over on the West Coast.
I'm just outside of Toronto.
Toronto. Yeah. And Bernie's on the other side.
Yeah, he's on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But I've traveled all over. I've been to the Philippines. I've been to South Korea. I've been all over the U.S. So I've seen quite a bit. My wife's from the Philippines, so I've traveled all over the Philippines, and a good experience seeing the other part of the world and how people live there. And they also have a very good cell phone service there, and it's also extremely cheap, I might add. And it really sucks because I pay so much here in Canada.
See, how does that work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're told that you're in a first world country with all the infrastructure.
Yeah.
But you can go to a third world country with apparently no infrastructure, but they get everything to run perfectly and cheaply.
Yeah, like I'm sitting here right now. My cell phone's showing about half bars, okay? And I'm in the South Philippines in a friggin' on a bamboo raft going down a river, and I got a perfect frigging signal, okay? And tell me something's not wrong with that. Like, I'm here, I got cell phone towers everywhere around us, and I only got half bars. Like, what's up with that? Like,
what is it? Is it the interference? Maybe is it because they've got
could
less?
Be. It could very well be. There's so much dirty power, man. Like, that's what we were talking about earlier before you came on tonight, was dirty power, the interference. And Dollar studied this, and they asked him, they go, okay, if you were going to do the power grid, how would you do it? And he says, well, first of all, I get rid of all the electronics. Okay. I would go all analog. If you go analog, all that interference and electromagnetic interference, it disappears. Because with an analog system, it's doing it in the most controlled mechanical way of controlling power and generating power. And back in the 1920s, even earlier than that, Carl Steinmetz, he was the head of the research division of General Electric, and he came up with a motor 3-phase generator that's basically all in one. It was a motor as well as a 3-phase generator. And he said, if we had this system today, all this dirty power that's coming off our power grid right now would be gone. He says I could take an AM radio and go right beside one of those power lines, and I wouldn't have any interference whatsoever. And he says, try to do that with the power grid that we have now. It ain't gonna happen. Okay, the FM, yeah. He says, but yeah, you get all the white noise. Like you get an AM radio going, and you go beside a power grid, you're gonna have white noise like you wouldn't believe, like crazy. And I've experienced it almost every night coming home from work. I'm going in the section of road where they have a lot of power lines going through, and if I got AM station running, oh my Lord God, I have to turn the volume right off. It is so bad. It is so bad. It's scary. Like I could literally hop out of the car, okay, and grab a fluorescent light bulb, stick the sucker in the ground, and that light bulb would turn on. That's how much power was coming off those lines.
Yeah, right. And we pay for all that leakage, right?
Yeah.
Or for all that power.
It's all wasted power. Yeah, because there's all transient power harmonics going through those lines. And that's where you get all the losses, and that's why you have all that electromagnetic waste going in the air, and that's not good for the human body. It's very bad.
Or the plant life or anything, it's ridiculous. You can see those trees that grow next to like 5G towers and stuff, even power poles, and they grow away from them, they're half dead. And
well, yeah, like even the ones, the trees that are right next to these power lines that I drive by every night, half the trees are all dead now. They're gone. They're completely gone. They're just rotting. Yeah, it kills the plant life.
Australia's getting better. It's all pretty safe. Well, we've got a mask mandate, but
yeah,
Queensland, they're trying to enforce all these new rules, and people are just going nuts.
Yeah,
I just getting together businesses and kicking the cops out and going, "No, go away."
Yeah, I just got laid off myself on Monday. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got laid off.
You're not taking it?
No, it's not that. It's people got sick over the holiday, and they shut half our plant down because of it. And I think one of our big customers, they have the same issue, so they had to shut their plant down. So yeah, right now there's only like a skeleton shift running right now. They laid off 50 workers in one day. So
wow.
Yeah, so I was one of the 50, unfortunately. So I should actually be at work right now. And
yeah, right.
So
I mean, that's good, but it's bad as well, as long as you got money to live. But
yeah, my daughter, she's going to do homeschool for the next 2 weeks. Indoor dining's pretty well toast. Yeah, so we're going back into lockdown again because cases just keep going up. So yeah,
it's, well, that happens when people go out and get those things pumped into them. They end up in hospital.
Yeah, well, now my wife was just telling me today there's another variant coming out now. Oh my God. And I said, are you kidding me? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, wow, this is getting ridiculous now.
It's just getting stupid. I mean, it's just falling apart. Like,
it's like a deck of cards.
Biden saying from his own mouth, yes, I agree, let's go Brandon. I mean, we're past bizarro world, man. It's crazy.
You know what? The course we're going on right now. You ever see the movie Mad Max?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's our future, folks. And that movie was made 30 years ago?
Yeah, that's what they want. I think some people are going to be going there, but it won't be me.
I think some people have been there for the last 30 years.
Well, that as well, right? Yeah. Well, actually, if you go out to some, states in the USA, people are still there. And no doubt, outback Australia.
Oh man. Yeah, it's just there's so much going on right now, and the pandemic's just making it even worse.
It's just it's collapsing though. I still don't know how they're pushing this. Still no one's dying.
Yeah, you know what? There is an end game for this, and I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to deploy. And I honestly think what they want to do is start throwing chips in our arms.
Of course.
Because Verichip in Florida, they've been working on this technology for the last almost 20 years now. I knew about Verichip back in 2000. And it could be something, they just slip it right under the skin in your forearm.
Mark of the beast.
Yeah. No, we already have the mark of the beast. Know where the mark of the beast is? We hold it every day, our cell phone. That's the mark of the beast.
Yeah, right. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's probably right.
Because it's monitoring us. They've made us totally addicted to the cell phone, right? Well, I think the next step of what's happening is they're making us into transhumanism.
That's exactly right. There's a website, I think, is it 2045? I think it's called. And it's this billionaire in Moscow started it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And the whole aim of it is to get human consciousness living outside, in a machine, basically, outside the body.
And that's happening. And that's happening faster than you'll believe.
They show us some bits, they showed us cloning Dolly back in the 80s and then nothing. And they show us these robots that are coming out and all these Alexa things and what was someone saying? Alexa is backwards is what is it?
Alexa. I heard this too.
Is it something to do with meta?
Metahumanism.
It's there's something. It's either Alexa or Siri or something.
Yeah.
I need sleep.
Siri.
But, I think the agenda is that's what because look what they've been trying to do for the last 200 years. It's all about control, right?
Yeah.
And what do they hate? People who can think for themselves. So they figure if they can, control everyone properly through their chips and stuff. Well,
yeah.
They don't get any.
Well, I think what they want to do. I think what their ultimate goal is, they want to manipulate the actual reality that we live in.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. It's. Yeah,
if you control, if you control the reality, you control everything, right?
Yeah.
Because pretty soon, people will not know the difference between the cyber world versus the real world. Why do you think they're working on this virtual reality stuff, like the goggles and that virtual reality? My wife's aunt has one of those pair of goggles, virtual reality. And I was totally, utterly shocked. I put these damn things on and I played this simple video game in this virtual reality world. And honestly, between playing something like that in real life, like without the goggles on, it'd be very hard to distinguish the difference. Like it was so real. Like, they've come a long way. I have to admit, they've come a long way with that virtual reality stuff.
Yeah. Well, and the end game of that plan is the Matrix, right?
That's right. Why do you think the movie The Matrix came out? See, a lot of this stuff comes out 20 to 30 years before it happens.
Yeah, well, they tell us. They have to tell us because they reckon it diminishes them of karma and all this crap. But but the thing is, everyone's onto them now, so it's
the Pandora's.
Plan, but it's going to fail. Either that, or they're going to take some with them, and.
Yeah, I think there's another goal here. I think what they're trying to really do is change our perception of reality. If you can change the perception of reality, you can manipulate it at will, and people will go with it, right? So I think the only thing that we have going for us right now is our own free will. And when you take that away from us, we're in trouble.
Yeah, but when we give it up.
Yeah.
But that's that's. I just edited a video on the orphan trains and the orphan children. Going up on Syncretism Society, guys, go ahead and check out Syncretism Society. And same thing, they were just separating the kids from the parents so they could just program them with a new reality.
Yeah.
Because, we came from a society that was good and people had what they needed, and then it was suddenly, how do we turn these people into workers?
Yeah. Obedient workers.
Obedient, yeah. You got to take the kids away as babies and raise them and say, well, this is your reality. This is all there is.
Yeah.
You're just a worker.
Yeah.
Don't question it. And so, yeah, that's where we're here again, but this time we have a choice.
Yeah. We still have our free will, right? So,
yeah, sure.
The internet, gives us all the clues. You get a lot of clues on regular mainstream media, but there's also a lot of propaganda, and that's all part of the, the brainwashing of society, right? Like I asked my mother this one question once. I put her on the spot. I said, do you believe everything that the government is true and they're always out for your best interest? And I said, your two answers are going to be yes or no. There's no in between. It's either yes, you do, or you don't. And she goes, yes. And I go, you know what? That doesn't surprise me. Because that generation, they've trusted their government on every level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, man, they went to war. Well, they didn't. They still believed the war. They were sort of the war children, weren't they, really? But
yeah,
they still have that instilled in them. Oh, well, I suppose Vietnam.
Yeah.
A lot of them did Vietnam. And that's almost unthinkable now, like for the government to say, we're going to war, and everyone to jump up and go, okay. It just wouldn't happen anymore.
But you know what? I think this whole pandemic thing really opened up a lot of eyes and started enlightening people on, the world that you thought was true is wrong. The stuff that you thought was right is wrong, So I think a lot of people are starting to open their eyes and they're starting to see some of the realities of stuff. And, it's shocking to them to believe that, what, can this actually be true? And more they're figuring out, yeah, unfortunately, it's true.
Yeah.
And, the craziest
thing is ego, right? People have given their lives to the system, and now they have to admit they're wrong. Everything they've lived for and built for is wrong, and that's where a lot of people just
they can't handle that.
There's a certain age, a certain place where people just can't go back from there. Yeah. It's
But I think the next 10 to 15 years are going to be interesting years. That people are, like I said, are getting enlightened now. They're starting to look for answers because what they're seeing in the reality in front of them, they're starting to question stuff more now, and that's good. When you start questioning stuff and try to find out what is true and what's not true, you're going to look. You're going to look on the internet. You're going to look in the papers. You're going to look in books, and you're going to start piecing, things together like a puzzle, and realize, wow, we've been duped.
It's like, who was it? Who's lead singer of the Sex Pistols? Johnny Rotten. On their last concert, he came out and he goes, ever feel like you've been lied to? And that's pretty much the last thing he said as on stage.
Even George Carlin, the comedian, some of his stuff is right bang on. Right bang on.
Of course it is.
Man.
What about, there's a show from the 70s called Network.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? That like the same thing.
Yep.
And they keep telling us, right, we keep getting these warnings, but people just keep ignoring it. And that's probably what we've ended up here, I think.
Well, I think people get complacent and they say they know what the truth is, but they're in total denial. Like, holy man, is this really true? Have we really been duped this bad? Like, what were our parents thinking? Were they so blind?
You know the truth when you're still lying to yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's when you're truly woke. Is when you're completely cognitive dissonant and can't even tell your own arse from your head or how to
question yourself.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Like the science, right? They keep going on, oh, don't question the science. You know, they're trying to program people.
The programming is science and not
exactly
the scientific method itself.
Well, see,
the
like
scientific method, you have to question, so it's ridiculous.
See, like I don't know what way it is in Australia with education, but here in Canada, we used to have a thing called shop. You know, we would learn electrical stuff, we would learn automotive stuff.
Yeah.
All that stuff is gone now. It doesn't exist in the high schools. They've taken it out. Like
and art, most of the art's gone as well.
Yeah, like you have to go to special schools for that, right?
Yeah. Use art class, you'll have to draw a drag queen.
Like, you know, when I was back in high school.
First you have to dress like one and act like one.
Yeah. And like like electrical class that I remember back in high school, they never talked about Tesla. Meanwhile, the guy was the guy who transformed the entire planet in a matter of years, but yet they don't talk about it in shop class, who this guy was.
They can't, because what do they have to mention? If they mention Tesla, they have to mention free energy and the kind of stuff he was doing.
That's right. And that's why
they don't know that.
And that's why the Rothschilds did whatever they could to write him out of history in the books, because they were the guys who run all the publishing houses.
Yeah, they started the school system essentially.
That's right.
And then they went out and bought out all the publishing houses. They basically wrote all the books.
Yeah, they couldn't write him out of the book completely, but they greatly marginalized the amount of information that was there.
And it's also why it's not called a Musk, it's called a Tesla. So when you put his name, you just get this stinky car that lights itself on fire.
Well,
it uses to generate the electricity that it then charges to power itself.
Yeah.
What are we looking at, Bernie?
All right, so I'll replay it here for you guys. And so I've got a crystalline state triple copper coil solenoid. This pink guy here, the pinkish reddish guy. And then behind it is silver zinc. So it's zinc and copper in salt water after I had it plugged in at a higher frequency, but neither are connected to any electricity at this point. And this is a completely separate jar that just had the heavy water cold fusion reaction still going on. But this is
copper.
This is copper in what I call the crystalline form when it's being able to be transmuted. And then the zinc on the other side. And then the red is supposedly mercury or mercury oxide that would have had to transmutate into it because it was just literally salt water, copper, and zinc. But the key part is to watch the trillions of micro bubbles that continue to be produced in this cold fusion reaction and the atomic hydrogen that is thus coming from it.
So it's got no power source anymore.
No,
and it's still going. And this is this copper, this crystalline, is it monoatomic copper? That was just formed in the jar, was it?
Yes, and that white thing that just floated up, that's a whole bunch of monoatomic copper, and then that's all crazy plasma atomic hydrogen going up near the top there.
So what can we do with monoatomic copper?
Well, that is what you want to put your powering coils, your generators, into this monatomic layered state so that you can harness the pure plasma energy and not have to...
Okay. So use it like a, what's that coating called? Electroplating sort of stuff?
Yes, that's exactly... Electroplating is one form of nano coating.
Cool.
But it's it's that, so all of those insane amounts of bubbles, like there's the tiny little ones, and then there's like the big ones. It's those tiny little ones, and that a lot of them will sparkle even in absolute darkness. That they're doing star in a jar.
Wow.
What is the actual term? The
Fluorescence? No.
Man. Cavitation. It's a type of cavitation.
Yeah.
Oh, cavitation. Oh, I didn't know that one.
Anyways, guys, it's 1 o'clock in the morning here. I gotta get up kind of early, but
What do you mean? You got no job, buddy. You're staying up all night.
yeah, I gotta get my daughter. She's got to do homeschool in the morning, and then I gotta drive my wife to work. And,
Oh, nice. So you're going to teach her electronics?
she's 9. She's a little young.
Mike, before you go quickly, can I just get your quick opinion on what this could be?
All right.
So it's these two lines going up, the little spotted lines, and let me see if it'll play. Oh, it's loading, sorry. But they're like the pink little lines, dotted lines essentially going up. And my question, once it loads, oh, there you go. Are those, is it playing well enough for you to see?
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to see that. That's a coil in the background there? Or is that lights?
So, okay, those are lights behind it, but it's coming up from there's a Tesla coil, like a little plasma ball right below the line of footage here, and that's literally, well, there's two of them actually, and that's literally where these were coming up from. So the question is this like some sort of like photon chain that is coming up, like is it a photon gun sort of thing? I've seen this in a couple of other different videos online of spark gap, coming off of spark gaps that have Tesla coils along them, and it was questioned if it is Tesla's cold electricity and if it is a photon or a essentially ray gun or particle gun that we are seeing coming
Now,
out.
it's in a box, right? Or is it like, it's kind of hard for me to see what. I don't know. Can
It's
you?
not actually in a box. To give you reference, that is like an IKEA shelf in the background with a big painting resting up, covering up about 2/3 of it.
Okay.
The way up. And then on the ground that we can't see, that you can't get the context from, but directly below these two streams is two Tesla coils.
Okay.
Or plasma balls. But it doesn't want to play. Oh, here we go. There we go. Is that playing better now? No, it's still choppy as shit. Sorry.
And so what you're getting plasma balls coming up from the bottom up towards the light.
Yeah, if there's any particles above it, it's going to charge those particles, and sometimes they can refract light.
But it's like this light wasn't visible like in the moment. It was only captured in the high resolution camera footage.
Yeah, I think it's the way the light is hitting it in whatever direction, and then it's refracting the light, and then it becomes visible.
There was a second one. Yeah, sorry, I'm not giving you proper context for it.
You're not, man. You need to clean up that bloody laboratory of yours.
This is from my old Rocktail 3. This was Alchemy Lab number 2. I'm now on Alchemy Lab number 4.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's playing perfectly for me, but when I'm watching it on screen, it's choppy as heck. So
Choppy, yeah, it's really, really choppy. Yeah.
that was pointless. Sorry. Thank you
Thanks
for
for showing us different coloured lights.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see the feed properly.
I have to do the experiment again. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Mike.
Yeah.
and
Glad I was able to chat with you for a bit. It's been a while since we actually chatted there. And
It has, yeah. We'll have to work out a time when you. Every time we talk, it's like midnight at your place.
it's 1:42 in the morning here.
Well, there you go. It's like we're supposed to get an earlier time sorted out.
Yeah.
I think Bernie likes to do things at midnight, so.
I am a vampire. I mean, a night owl.
It's like, come on, it's midnight. What do you mean you're sleeping?
It's just woke up an hour ago. I'm just eating breakfast. What are you talking about?
Oh my God, look at that.
So there's several different layers on that, and it's that it's mostly the white plasma monoatomic, a little bit blue, a little bit oxidized because it was stirred up. But below it, there's a couple of straight clear levels with no monoatomic, and then below that is the sulfuric yellow one that's spinning in opposite direction.
Wow.
Anyways, guys, I got a jet here.
Yep.
And
All right, I guess
I'll
that's
chat.
sweet, dude.
Yeah, I'll chat with you guys soon.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
I promise I'll do an afternoon one for you next. I will get up.
Yes. Give me a heads up too.
The day dwellers.
Yeah, actually organise something. Cool. All right. Well, good to talk to you, Mike.
All right.
Well, and we'll chat soon.
Okay, guys, cheers, and we'll see everybody soon.
Real. And go over to Mike's channel, Faraday Research, and subscribe. Yeah.
Awesome.
I fixed it, but I got way more work to do.
Okay, guys. Cheers.
Videos.
Cheers, Mike.
Cheers.
See you, mate.
Bye.
Bye.